Now, due to the sensitive nature of unmasking the system enslavement process by entering into the system's electronic media center, known appropriately as the net or the web, I am sobered by the fate of a character who'd once gone into a temple and upended the money changers' tables. 3 days later, they got severe revenge. And in this current climate of bureaucratic hysteria, there's no telling how jumpy they might get. They just might want to chat dead of the night, undisclosed location, coming down with a sudden case of rigor mortis. So, being conscious of such an unsavory prospect, what would possibly induce me to imperil my fragile carcass? Well, a few years back, there was a movie called Pay It Forward. A young boy had altruistically set into motion an expanding circle of good deed doers, all predicated on the premise that the recipient of a good deed would find someone else in need of a helping hand and come to the rescue. It was a touching and inspirational motif. Me, being a contrarian, takes an opposite stance, namely, pay it backward, meaning I have run up a large tab from partaking of the natural resources. Innumerable barrels of air, countless buckets of water, boundless baskets of food. Casually receiving this awesome abundance with such a ho-hum attitude of inexplicable indifference. I mean, by what virtue was I even remotely entitled to such lavish generosity from whomever originated this magnificent cosmos with all its mind-boggling diversity and extraordinary attention to detail? Now I am awakened to the pulse of nature, and this awareness is simply not humanly possible. The concept is totally alien. Therefore, being Al Leon, the only conceivable way for me to show appreciation is by finding a way to turn myself inside out and export my unique inner light, like a blooming petunia, merging myself into harmony with the eternal moment of now. No regrets of the past, no worries of the future. Just moving in step with the music of now. Beyond time's raging river that kept me ever anxiously looking back and ahead. Here I am on terra firma, home in the ever-changing kaleidoscope of now. And in this stable and peaceful location, there is detachment with distance from time's turbulence to examine long cherished concepts I previously held sacred. when in the obstacle course of human events. America was founded on the principle that all men are created equal. Did Jefferson mean we are like processed jars of jelly rolling off an assembly line? Was this formula of equality now confined to a climate-controlled glass box in a museum? Because out here in the fresh air, this truth is not so self-evident to myself. In my experience, everyone is unique. We are all one of a kind. Even identical twins vary beyond their superficial resemblance. Everyone has different fingerprints, DNA, and other traits that distinguish each from all others, with special qualities and proportions that make each of us superior in some way to everyone else, having some missing ingredient to bring to the table that adds flavor, texture, aroma to improve and spice up this feast called life. Equality only renders life bland, from sensational to fair, and some say life isn't even fair. The system mandates us to relinquish nature's gift of singularity and adhere to a bizarre mindset of plural equivalence. As harebrained as severing the legs of a tall one to make stilts for a runt. Can you guess who the tall one is? Everyone equalized, common, ordinary, like bleached confetti, good only to be tossed and trampled, all statistically average, all conforming to a set standard that cannot tolerate any deviation from the norm, all embracing a strict policy where any nail that stands out must get hammered down. Did Ray Kroc borrow this recipe from the system's cookbook to clone McDonald's into a fast food empire with his all burgers are created equal doctrine? Although he described this secret of success as consistent mediocrity. Of course, saturating the Saturday morning cartoons with repetitive commercials featuring a clown and free toys with meals definitely paid off later when Mommy asked what the children would like for dinner, and the suggestive psychology kicked in, and off went the family in the pursuit of happy meals. Train up a child in the way he should go. This mesmerizing strategy proved so efficacious that nowadays it's de rigueur for sales campaigns to swamp the media outlets with clowns promising freebies. Fortunately, this circus only comes around every 4 years. But under the system's golden arches, it is we who are reshaped into equal units, reportioned into man burgers, called citizens or subjects, persons, men, all stuck together in an ice-cold file cabinet, stored below 33 degrees, frozen stiff. That's how all men are created equal, by filling out the same exact form, all wearing a clean new uniform. One size fits all. That's the only way to create equal men, created out of thin air, paper, out of chaos, order. Alphabetical order. Everyone put in their place, kept in the dark, but brought out into the open and clear light of day. None of us were created, least of all as equal men, unless Tom meant equally misinformed. My gut says we were patiently composed by nature in a sequential progression of growth, and nature is no one-trick pony. Each of us is a fresh melody, never ever heard before, and born one at a time as infants, not in a stack of carbon-copied men. Having seen through the facade, one cannot unsee it. Some people proclaim we need to wake up, but it's not from being asleep, it's from a hypnotic trance, mass hypnosis. My solo journey has entered pristine territory where there are no artificial boundaries. Thus, my purpose for being here is simply to be a good steward. The idea of being, don't try to make it perfect, just make it better, to leave this realm a brighter place. And, if possible, put a slight dent in that debt I owe to the sponsor of this amazing trip. If I have accomplished nothing else with this exercise, for it is that exorcism, I have clarified and reinforced my position to myself.